over in Houma right now. We have a couple of counselors from the New Orleans office heading over there to kind of assist and see what we can do with in terms of some additional housing counseling and assistance there. So we keep it rolling. We had a small pause, but we keep things rolling.
I love it. And that's just who we are. And it sounds like you're running your team the same way, and they're hitting the ground running. You guys keep the questions coming. 833-771-0500. That's 833-771-0500. Got the first question. My counselor, before I read this question, let's just talk about it. What causes a member's counselor to change? And because we do have a question about my counselor has changed, do I have to start the process over? It seems like I do. So before we dive into that question, let's talk about it. Claudette, Diego, what causes a member's counselor to change?
There are a few reasons for that. The first one is possible that the current counselor is no longer with the company, right? So we need to assign somebody else. Also, maybe you're working with a housing counselor and you are qualified for the NACA program. Now it's time to assign your file to a mortgage counselor, who's a counselor licensed in your specific state to originate your loan. You don't start over. They just take where the previous counselor left, right? Another reason is that your counselor went on vacation or medical leave or other personal circumstances that prevent that counselor for meeting the appointment with you. If that's the case, we want to honor the appointment, so we assign a temporary counselor to meet with you at that specific appointment until your original counselor is back. So those are the two main reasons for changes.
And there are often times when a member think that, I have a new counselor, I have to start over. No, it's not a matter of starting over. What we've told our counselors is when a new file is assigned to you, you must take possession of that file. You have ownership of this file. And so in having ownership means that you need to have an opportunity to go through the file to understand what it is you're going to tell this new member that you have. But all our files have narratives. So your last counselor would have left some information on the file. Your new counselor can pick up and move on. And even if you find that this new counselor is asking you some questions, it is to give that counselor, get that counselor familiar with your situation. It's not that you're starting over, but they need to know what reference point they're going to start with, and then they go through the program. So don't lose heart. We have narratives, and we're going to get you through the program as fast as we can.
Lastly, I want to add that, the NACA counselor is an advocate. So in order for somebody to advocate for you, they need to know you, they need to know your story so that they can best tell it. And they, some things are not, you can't just read a narrative and know the person. You have to actually talk to the person. So the person have to actually meet with you at least to understand who you are, so that they can submit your file with that narrative that, hey, I know this person is ready for homeownership. This is who this person is. They can't just pick it up and just read a narrative and submit it. So whenever you do get assigned a counselor, be patient with that person, get to know that person so that person can be your trusted advocate.
It sounds like what you guys are saying when you say this is that I can't just get your file and then rush in it and approve you. I need to make sure. And it sounds like one of the reasons that you want to make sure, because the counselors don't want to get them under contract down the road, somebody else in underwriting finds something wrong, and now they're in trouble and in jeopardy of losing the house. So it sounds like this is a safety precaution that you guys have put in place to make sure our members are protected. Is that what my assumption is? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Definitely.
That's correct, because most of our stuff is, go ahead, Washington.
No, I was going to say the newly assigned counsel wants to make sure they agree with the affordability and that the member's ready for home ownership. So definitely.
That's right.
Okay. Wow.
So we have to remind everybody that the qualification decision is not like a traditional lender's tool, right? Based on risk.
Mm-hmm.
You just look at your credit score. You have money at the bank. If you have a stable income, and here you go. We do it based on character. Right? It's a character-driven underwriting. character-driven decision, that we don't look at your credit score. We understand your circumstances. We look that you have a stable income, that in general you have your finances under control, that your budget works, that you have a little bit of money to start your process, and then we qualify you, right? So the knowledge of your file, your goals, and all the factors that I already mentioned are very important for our decision. So you need to have that conversation with your counselor.
Absolutely. This is
Awesome.
good information, good information. And they're coming. Damien, the questions are coming. They're doing it to me again. So they throw it up the hearts. We go throw up the hearts, but the questions are coming back and forth. I've gotten them coming through the phone lines and I've got them coming through Facebook. So I'm going to toggle back and forth here. One of the questions is coming through the phone lines, and then I'll get Ms. Dennis in just a minute. But one of the questions is, could it be that my counselor changed because I changed my location? Why did I have to start over when I changed my location? I went from Florida to Georgia. Now let's just talk about when they change states and they're going from Florida to Georgia and their counselor changed. Is it a geographical reason or is it something different?
Well,
But you can have two circumstances, right? We have the local counselors that work from each office, and we have a remote counseling center. When you're working with a remote counselor, they cover all the country basically, right? They don't have a specific location. But when you are working with a local counselor, in this case in Florida, they're not the best person to qualify you to purchase in Georgia. Because this is an owner-occupied program. Each region has different taxes, insurance, specific information about each area, right?
Wow.
So the right thing to do is to assign you to somebody that really is familiar with the circumstances you're going to have in your new region. So yeah, that may happen that we need to transfer you to a different counselor.
But it's
Makes
a
sense.
benefit to them.
It's a
It's a
benefit,
benefit to
absolutely.
the
it
member
is. It is.
Gotcha.
Get the best counselor for their
Right.
needs.
for that area.
I would add too, that person has to be licensed in that state to originate the loan. So, the counselor in Florida may not be licensed to originate loans in Georgia. So if they're in Florida, it has to be passed on to somebody who is licensed in Georgia to originate the loan.
Okay, that's good
Interesting.
information. Now
Very
let's
good.
talk about Ms. Dennis' question about when she has a counselor and then her counselor changed or the appointment got pushed back even further when the counselor changed. And so she's basically saying oftentimes it happens and someone else who has signed up got an appointment before them. Now, I always have a pet peeve when I'm trying to compare myself to somebody else because it's like comparing a grapefruit to a grape. It is totally different and circumstances are different. So I want to make sure I put that out there, always, try not to compare yourself, Ms. Dennis, to the next person because the circumstances could be entirely different. But, Washington, Ben, what causes them to push it back further when their counselor change or push the appointment back?
Well, one of the things that we do at NACA is that, we don't jump or we don't skip any member who has an appointment over another member. And we try to honor every member's appointment. So when a counselor leaves, obviously, naturally, you're going to have a void. And we currently have a national service rep. We have a national service line, which we just actually implemented to actually help solve some of these issues. We also have created a system where even when somebody leaves, those appointments stay on the calendar and they can go to anyone in the company to be able to service that person. So at times we may have some conflicts, and that may be the reason that could potentially cause somebody to be pushed back a little bit. But we try to see everybody, and literally we're pulling all the resources to try to accommodate that person. If indeed we, maybe we have that conflict and we're unable to get you there, we do have waiting lists that we can put you on to ensure that we do get back to you as soon as possible. Like any other industry or like in the mortgage industry, people come and go, and we're no different. We
That's
have
true.
people who come, they learn, and sometimes they go to other places, and then we hire more people to come to help service the people that we need. So this is by no way trying to ignore people or put people out, because the mission is to help everyone. But sometimes you may have a challenge in the course of trying to help everyone where you may have to push some people out, but never forget about those people, because everybody matters at NACA.
Wow. I got one point to make about this, though,
Go ahead.
Internet, that a lot
Sure.
of people don't know. These guys and lady work Monday through Friday trying to make sure that your files are going through and that their offices are supported. But what you may not know is that every other weekend or twice a month, depending on the day, they conduct a job fair. These guys were on the job fair this Saturday to now make sure that there are enough housing counselors, mortgage counselors to be able to fit the needs of those voids that are happening. So you won't be in that situation. So if you're interested in being hired, definitely check out the website, www.naca.com, and go on there and look at the information and apply, because these guys who you will be directly reporting to are the ones that are doing the hiring. So
That's
you
right.
already have now encountered them. So encounter them on a Saturday, because they are really trying to make sure that you guys, our members, are taken care of. I just wanted to point that out.
No, and that's a good point to
Something
make.
that,
Very
something
good
that
point.
members members won't know this, so we want to make it clear that the councils we have at NACA, they have appointments every single day, 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 4 o'clock. There are some councils here that have a pipeline of more than 500 members.
Mm.
So when somebody leaves, we don't have councils who just sit back and have nothing to do. Remember, it's the best mortgage you're here for. And remember that because you're here for the best mortgage, everybody wants to get the best mortgage. And unfortunately, when somebody leaves, we have to try and integrate that person's calendar into somebody else's calendar. And these one of the reasons why you may have an appointment that is way down the line, not because we want to, but because the counselors don't have space to put it. And we're trying our best to make you get that, to get an appointment. So we really reach out to persons and say, please be patient with us. We really have more than we can chew, but we're going to get to you eventually.
And you guys know why, because it's the best mortgage program out there. Like she
This
just
is
said.
true.
Thank you, Claudette. That was awesome.
This is
I
true.
really appreciate that.
All right, we got about 9 questions that have come through so far. So we're
Wow.
gonna try to work them out. We're gonna get this done today.
I don't believe so.
Next question is, we're gonna get it done. So the next question is talking about the waiting list. Ben, you mentioned the waiting list, and on the waiting list, Tish is asking, should I just get to the waiting list or request up front that I'm willing to be put on the waiting list? I'm thinking she's asking, basically, I'll take whatever's first, whatever appointment is first. So she's flexible. Is that something they need to be saying up front prior to getting scheduled, or no?
Not prior to getting the schedule. If you've just completed your home buyer workshop, the best thing you could do is to get into your web file and complete the web file so that you can make an appointment. Now, the waiting list is available to every member after they get counseled. Sometimes we counsel people and they're ready to go right now. And we have other people on the calendar, so we may not have the space to get them in right now. But what we can do, what your counselor can do, is put you on the wait list, so that if somebody, God forbid, somebody cancels an appointment or is a no-show for an appointment, then that counselor can call you. You do have to be available and ready to go, so that counselor can meet with you and deliver that service. Also, sometimes when a counselor is working with you to become homeownership ready, you might not be ready right now, and they may have to, again, schedule a follow-up appointment, and you may get those things done, maybe sooner than what you had planned. And that's another use of the wait list, to make sure that, at moment's notice, you're ready. And if that space becomes available, the counselor can meet with you and move you forward. So that is available for every NACA member going through the program once they've meet with a counselor for the first time.
Now, Ben, you just reiterated something that I don't think a lot of members hear or they miss, because I've been encountering members who completed the home buying workshop and they're just sitting, waiting for a counselor to call them to set up an appointment. And I'm like, no. you have to go in, upload all your documents, and then you can schedule an appointment. But if you have problems, you're able to call the customer service line. But I don't think a lot of people, if you want to speak just a little bit, I guess reiterating that so that they understand, you don't sit and wait after your home buying workshop.
But you know what? I think that's covered in the workshop. So while we're on the subject, when you're in these virtual workshops and y'all throwing a load of laundry in the washer and then in the dryer and y'all washing dishes while y'all got this webinar going on and y'all feeding the baby, y'all better be paying attention because this is good information that they're missing out on. Because at the end, if I don't know when I'm supposed to schedule my workshop or what happens next, that means I wasn't listening. Am I right, guys?
Yeah,
Correct.
Correct. And
Hey.
that's big. And I see that a lot in a few of my offices as we go through that. A lot of people are not just uploading their documents and go ahead and set your own appointment within the web file. I mean, it's at your control. It's at, you have the power to do that, and we want you to do it. We definitely want you to do it. Take advantage of that feature in the web file. It's a phenomenal site, and it's there for you to use. So please upload your documents right after and make your appointment. Schedule your appointment to see your counselor.
Tell
But
us
Damien,
where-
Hey, look,
Damien, this was something we was talking about earlier. I wanted to talk to the regionals about what are the commonalities, what are the things that they see, the common mistakes we as members make. But that might be a whole nother show because I really want to know how to get rid of all of the common mistakes members make when they're, going from the workshop to uploading to appointment. And we got a question from Sothershan, who is asking about qualification, which is a good question. She's basically asking what happens after qualification. What happens to get to qualifications? They've been given an action plan, guys. Your counselors have given them an action plan, and now they got some things to work on. Once they work on the action plan and get all of that resolved, basically they're asking how long does it take to get an approval once I meet all of the requirements or qualifications? What happens next?
Good question. Good question.
I think that before we answer the question, it's important to mention that we're talking about appointments, right? And that sometimes our members need to wait for appointments, etc. It's nothing more frustrating for the counselor that get finally to that appointment and there are no documents in the file. All right, the member hasn't uploaded the documents. Or we met, we have our intake, you get your action plan. The idea is then your next follow-up appointment, we're going to have a complete file and the counselor will be able to submit your file for qualification review. But when they meet with our member, nothing has been updated, nothing has been done in the action plan or very few work. So what happened? You're going to need another follow-up appointment and on until that action plan is completed. Once that action plan is completed and we have all the documentation, now the counselor is able to submit your file for qualification. I think that's the question, right? Right now, it's taking about a week for the file to be reviewed and come back.
That's
Now,
not bad.
it's not too bad.
Not at all.
Now, if for any reason, the NAC underwriter, the reviewer that's looking at the file for qualification, doesn't find all the answers that they need, or we have missing documentation, the file will come back to the counselor and to the member to complete those items and be resubmitted. And then you have to wait about another week to get your final answer.
Okay.
So Diego, one of the points that I'm getting here that you're saying is if they've given you 10 items on your action plan and you've only completed 6, don't come trying to get an appointment because they need all 10 in order for you to be submitted. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that correct, everyone?
Yes.
Yes. But
That's
what I'm
helpful.
saying is basically do your best to complete your action plan before your appointment, or to complete your documents before your intake, because that's the tools that your counselor need to move you to the next step.
Makes sense.
And
John,
here's a
that
point
also-
about your action plan. Please read your action plan. And I know we get it. We see the data for follow-up. We scan and see what we need to do. But there's a description of what it is that they're asking for. When you read the description, then you know exactly how the documents you need to upload to your file. Because until when that action plan has no other item to be done, that is when you will be submitted. That's for home ownership. Until then, you just playing around.
And I wanted to add that, and look, you determine,
The timeline.
the timeline, because at the end of the session with the counselor, the items that are on there, some can take literally days, some can take weeks, some can take months. So you make the determination and say, hey, this is when I can get this stuff done. And then the the follow-up appointment is scheduled. And you have to make sure that you have those things ready. You've gathered those things, you've uploaded them to make the next appointment successful. Because the goal of the counselor, trust me, is to submit your file for qualification, because they want to get you qualified and then they want to move on to the next one. You make that determination when you complete it. And more often than not, we get people that will say, well, I already submitted this, I already gave it. This is full documentation underwriting. Every time you get a pay stub, you get a bank statement, you should just make it a practice of uploading them as you're building up your file and as you're getting ready and following that action plan.
Oh,
And
okay.
definitely pay attention to the action plan, because again, as Damien mentioned, yes, you have 10 things on there. There's one document that's missing. That one document may be crucial in getting you approved. And if we don't have that, they're going to get a kickback. And then obviously you have to then do another appointment to do that. So you want to limit the number of times by being prepared. There are some people that put it in a binder. You just have to find what works for you.
Now,
Yep, and that makes perfectly good sense.
being in the binder, I've suggested to people, and you guys can tell me if that helped, is when you're on the appointment with your counselor, you should not be at a phone, but on your computer. So you have all of your documents just in case your documents didn't upload. And now you can just quickly shoot it to the counselor, upload it to the file. And now you're not having to set and reschedule another appointment. So definitely, if you can, be at a computer and have all your documents in a folder so you can quickly say, hold on, you didn't get it. Don't say I sent it, I submitted it, because they don't have it, so they need it. So submit it again. And if you have to send it via email because there's something's wrong with your computer and it's not letting it upload, but definitely have your folder, sit in front of a computer while you're talking to them and not on the phone, because you're not going to be able to access all your files.
That's right.
That's a good point, Damien. I believe that members they should approach even the virtual sessions. I mean, we're doing virtual sessions because of COVID, but it should still be approached as if it was going to be a face-to-face appointment. We want you up and present. We want your energy. We want your energy there. We want you there with the counselor to make sure that counselor is going to get what they need from you to get qualified. And sometimes we don't see that. I've monitored a few sessions, and I've seen some funny things from members during the sessions. So we want to make sure that
they're not enthusiastic about getting a house.
We want to make sure that you're ready. You're approaching the session, your counseling appointment, as if you are actually going to walk into a NACA office and meet with your member. The counselor can also show you the document. Maybe it's illegible. Maybe it got creased when you put it in the scanner. It could be a number of different things. But we want you sitting up straight. We want you to be, have your energy and be present at your counseling session.
And look, if I'm coming up in there to get a house, now I'm gonna be up in the screen. I want you to see all of me. I want you to see where I'm living now, where I want to live later. Come on, y'all.
We actually share the screen, and so and look, the counselor has that 2 hours. They definitely want to get the job done within that time. So again, being prepared helps. Sometimes we have people that are rushing, they're on the phone, so they can't pay attention, and they're saying they got to leave. And we say, well, you scheduled this appointment. We're hoping that you're scheduling an appointment where you're going to have the time to sit. And as we said, if there's a document missing and you can say, let me upload it right now for you, because we're in the session. We want to get it done. So we don't want you to, at the end of the session, running out and say, well, yeah, send it. I'll take care of it later. Obviously, this is one of the biggest things that you're going to do in your life. Use that time. Schedule an appointment when you actually have the time and you can pay attention to what they're talking about and actually be able to follow it. Because if you're in a rush and this is the biggest purchase you're going to make, most likely things are going to go wrong. You're not paying attention to some of the stuff, then you're going to come back and then it prolongs a process that doesn't need prolonging.
Wow. So you take, use that time wisely. And we have an original here that's coming back. And this is Damien, you're gonna laugh. This is Erica. And I'm wondering, is this the Erica from last Monday? Because Erica really enjoyed Eric Exum, but Erica is back and she's asking a question. And she's saying she believed this is what she was doing wrong. She is far past this phase currently, but if she could help anybody out, whatever you do, don't, and this is good. Basically, she's saying, don't answer one condition and then schedule an appointment, then come back and do another condition. And then she says, because she scheduled 4 appointments and they all had the same conditions and she was just working them down one by one. And my thing is, well, number one, if I'm your counselor, I'm not going to let you do that with my time because 3 other people could have had their session. But what she said she was doing was she was literally taking them one at a time and then scheduling an appointment. So to your point, Ben, you got to use that time wisely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, the number is correct. Yes.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm hearing this, but this is what she's saying. And welcome back, Erica. We're happy to see you or hear from you on the show. Give some hearts up to Erica because Erica had a lot of good questions. Toggling on with the low interest rate to purchase in a priority area. Why does that not change the buying power? Priority areas are a bit pricey. So how is it a beneficial feeling to purchase in a priority area?
Well, I wouldn't say that a priority area is more pricey. I mean, that goes back to the NACA mission of stabilizing neighborhoods. Priority areas are actually the areas that we want folks to go and, spend their hard-earned dollars, bringing properties back to life. Most of those places are actually left behind by cities, and speculators and investors come in, buy it up, renovate it, and then the people who have been living there, who have contributed to those communities, are unable to actually live there anymore because all of a sudden you have brand new condominiums or brand new houses or renovated houses that they can't afford. So that's where you should be looking with this NACA mortgage product. We don't believe that people need to leave their neighborhoods to go somewhere else to find another house. We want you to take the NACA mortgage product. NACA mortgage product is not just to purchase your home, but to rehab the home, bring it back to life, so that if you do it, the next person comes and they do the same, then the neighborhood appreciates. Now you've turned a neighborhood that's probably an eyesore that people didn't want to go into that neighborhood that would
desirable.
eventually been desirable because an investor came in and cleaned it up. And we see it all across the nation that this is kind of what is happening. So before there isn't, that you have the FHA 203K product out there and other products that low to moderate income people cannot qualify for, or they have a hard time qualifying for. The NACA mortgage is there for everyone. You can qualify for it. You just have to be persistent, persevere to it, and also have the will to be able to want to change your community.
That's right.
We're not giving people loans to go and buy in the best areas. That's not what this program is about. Again, it's about neighborhood stabilization, and we want you to buy in those areas. And frankly, those areas are not pricey. They become pricey once the speculators and the investors start to move into those areas, and then other people follow them.
That's right.
Be the first to start.
That makes sense. Moving on. Thank you, Benjamin. And you're right. We're not giving out any mortgages or whatever, because I do believe, and don't get me on my soapbox talking about it is your God-given right to own a property or own your home, because the wealth is in the what? In the land. And so you guys are here because NACA is bringing forth awareness, access, and change. We are making you aware of our NACA mortgage product. We're giving you access to America's Best Mortgage to change your normal, what you thought was your normal circumstance is no longer normal no more. So it's going to change your current living conditions in your environment. But we do have a question about multifamily, and the question is coming from, once again, this is a northern way. This is our first one up north. And so what's happening is they're asking more and more about multifamily. Angie, you guys talked about multifamily purchasing on your show. However, my counselor does not mention it. I did ask about it. She said it wasn't for me. How do you know whether it is or isn't? Do our counselors talk about the multifamily purchase option?
We addressed that at the home buyers workshop since the beginning, and you have all your information also in your workbook, your qualification workbook. I don't know if Ben wants to add anything else.
Yeah, I would say we talk about multifamily a lot, but one of the things that we don't want to do is to push somebody into a multifamily who isn't ready to become a small business owner. I think a lot of people watch the NACA video and they see the guy pointing and saying, "Hey, and my tenant is paying my mortgage," and everybody just, they jump up, they're laughing, they're happy, because most people just see the brighter side of multifamily. What they don't see is the other side where you're currently a tenant. You come to NACA, you buy a home, you become a landlord once you buy a multifamily, and you have to manage this property. If your tenants don't pay you, especially up north, in case of New York, the area that I covered, if you can't get the tenant out, you still have to pay this mortgage. Yep. And so we have to make sure that, number one, you've attended landlord a training course. You understand what it takes to evict tenants. You understand what it takes to manage the property. It's not just, well, I couldn't find a house within my single family range, so my counselor should just qualify me for a multifamily because that helps. And in some situations, it may be the best thing to do, but we have to make sure that you're prepared for it. So it's not about your counselor actually. And we train and coach our counselors that they shouldn't just tell somebody they should go for a multifamily. Even though that's the option, the person should actually make the choice whether a multifamily is good for them, that they're ready to take on that, again, that small business aspect of it, because you're literally running a small business and you have to account for every little thing that goes on in that multifamily in order to have a successful home ownership.
And you know what? Works. We said this a couple of calls ago, Damien. Remember we was talking about this? Do you want to live next door to people who rent from you? Because as soon as you pull up to your property, you're pulling up to people that rent from you. So they're gonna meet you at your car doors before you get out, saying, "Look, my hot water heater, my this, my that, my doorknob look different." Whatever the case may be, you got to open yourself up now because you are now landlord, and you do have to. So that training is critical. Where do you find the training piece? Is it on our website?
We have the training in our local offices. There are some for folks who want to do it online. There's an online link for it, but typically some HUD approved counseling agencies do provide landlord training. So you definitely want to talk to your counselor. The counselor will know which local HUD entity provides it, and if not, they also should have there's one online that you can do, obviously in light of the pandemic, where people are not meeting face to face.
Okay.
And let's make sure that you get the certificate that you have gone through the training.
A certificate.
That's important. And what's also important, because I do a lot of multifamily in California, and a counselor may say you're not ready because looking at what's your asset looking like, okay? Mm-hmm. Because you have to have some, and depending on what unit you're buying, right? You must have assets that you can, like Anjanette said, pay for something that goes broke. Because we do have a lot of now in California where, because of the pandemic and everything else, people were out of work, and people have been out of work for over a year.
That's right.
Not been paying rent, and consider yourself the landlord of 3 units, and you have 2 tenants who are not paying. You have to find that money to pay, or what's coming.
Yeah. So
it really is a business, and you really have to be prepared mentally,
now,
financially.
Two ways that I look at this, Angie, and I tell a lot of people. One, whatever you went through when you were renting and all the problems you faced, now you're going to be on the other side dealing with the problem. So do you want to
Perfect.
deal with people like you asking and needing the stuff that they need?
Damien
second
throwing
thing-
dry shade to y'all. He throwing for y'all out there in Facebook land. Damien throwing some dry shade. He basically saying karma coming. But go ahead, Damien.
The other thing I want to point out is I tell people now that we're in this whole pandemic where the government is saying you don't have to pay rent. So it's incumbent upon you to, as a landlord, to be out here looking at all the different grants. Listen, if I owned a multifamily, I would be at your house knocking on your door with my laptop, printer, internet, and everything to help you fill out that form that's going to get you rent, that's going to
Rental assistance. That's right.
So you need to be able to take a hold of it and be able to understand, because the bank is not going to hear that your tenants ain't paying.
Right.
All they're going to hear is we want our money.
They want the mortgage to the building.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly right.
And
Well-
look, last thing I want to add is obviously, running a multifamily on like a single family is never going to be affordable. And again, I always like to take it back to the fact that, NACA is a neighborhood stabilization organization. We're looking to help low to moderate income people, so, one of the things that we do encourage is that most of these cities have, housing authorities. You should work with them and, get involved in their Section 8 program and be able to rent to somebody to help somebody as they are looking for housing, because it also in turn helps you out. You can obviously count on that Section 8 voucher to help pay the rent. And it's not going to be all of it, but the tenant has to pay their portion. But it's better than having nothing, and you're helping the people that we want to help who, again, don't have access to to homes readily available in some of these markets. So take advantage of it, especially in New York. I mean, there are programs where you get a bonus by working, with folks that need housing. So, that combination can help make that multifamily a success. Again, you wanna be part of these programs, offer housing to other people that need it, which in turn is mutually beneficial to you.
Wow,
That's
that is
awesome.
great. Now we have a New Mexico question coming up in just a minute, but let me toggle back on over and
New
talk about
Mexico.
Florida for real quick. Now, Diego, Florida is your area. We have Miami, Orlando, Tampa, and Jacksonville. Now we got a Jacksonville office question. All of our offices are open technically, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So to your question out there in Facebook land, our Jacksonville office is open. Stop by and see us. Masks are required. So we want to make sure you know that office is open. I don't think we have any offices that are closed.
No, but maybe what we need to consider is the counseling is doing virtually right now. We're doing virtually counseling. It doesn't mean that because the office is open, we're doing face-to-face counseling. But yes, the offices, the loans are closing at the office. The kiosks are available at the offices, and our counselors are there.
Okay. And Christina is asking, after receiving a raise, how long do I have to wait for it to be considered in my affordability? My counselor told me that her manager said I have to wait a year. So when I get a raise, do I have to wait a year for that to count as income?
Not necessarily. It depends. I mean, there is not just a quick answer to that question, right? It's different if you make an hourly rate or you make a salary, right? A fixed salary. And how long have you been with the company? If you get another additional overtime, bonuses, etc., right? So if you are an hourly employee, the fact that you got $1 more or any month on your pay stub doesn't mean that we can take that income immediately. Probably it's going to be easier if you're a fixed salary, right? Because you're not going back to your old salary. We need to look at your year-to-date income to see if it supports that. Remember, we're giving you a loan for the long term, and we need to make sure that the income we're using to qualify you for that loan is going to be there for the long term. It's correct. We're not going to put you in something that is going to create an affordable situation, right? So, but in most cases, unless you are self-employed, a 1099 contractor or something like that, you don't have to wait a year for that.
And
Understood. Christina, I hope that helped you.
I want to add something to that because I think people equate the income piece with affordability, and affordability is something totally different. So just because you got the raise doesn't mean that you're going to save more. because at NACA, affordability is rent plus saving. Are you, paying rent, and are you saving on top of it? So yes, if you get the raise, that means you're gonna have more income, but it doesn't mean that your spending habits are gonna change. So and it doesn't necessarily getting the income just gives you a larger threshold to be able to afford more, but you have to still demonstrate to us that increase that you got in income, you actually are saving it, and we still will need to see that. Yeah,
so Christina, show your queen skills, and the raise that you got, continue to pay your rent, but the raise that you got, put it in a savings and show that you have a savings pattern of that raise. Ben, is that what you're talking about? Will that now give her more buying power?
Yes. I mean, as long as she's saving, if she's paying rent, we have the payment shock. The payment shock is literally, you're trying on the payment to see if it fits.
Right.
So as long as you try on the payment and it fits, and we can see that, 3 months, on top of you save on top of the rent. If you're not paying rent, then we need to see you save for 6 months so that you can see. And then you still have to continue doing this until you close on the loan, because once you get that house, NACA is still going to be there to help you, but that mortgage payment is coming and you should be ready for it. It's not just good enough to have the income. Demonstrate that you can save what you're asking for.
So Ben, I got a question with that. So even if your income increases, say a salaried person, but if your debts are still high and you was at the threshold, that doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to now get a higher affordability, correct?
It doesn't necessarily. Again, we're looking at, and that's what I wanted to make sure that I clarify, that just because somebody got an increase, again, doesn't change their affordability. It should, change their affordability after they've been counseled that, hey, if we've counseled you on an income that is lower and you have more, it should translate to more net income. Now, you might decide to put that income somewhere else. Maybe you decide, hey, let me now increase my 401k or do other things. Not more is not going to come into your net income to be able to actually save for the extra that you want in the payment, because we're still trying to make sure that the payment that you get is affordable for you. So income is great. Don't get me wrong. We want you to get more money in any shape or form, but we also have to see that you can actually save that money on top of what you're asking for. The income gives us the threshold as to how much that you can qualify for, but then you still have to demonstrate the ability to afford it.
Makes sense. We have a call in that's asking from New Mexico, saying we desperately need the NACA program in New Mexico. Are there any chances of you opening up an office in our area?
Eventually, but right now we want you to continue to go and sign up on our website and attend the home buyers workshop. We had one this past Saturday, and we probably had about 7 people out of New Mexico at workshop. So, and we've closed some loans already in New Mexico. So go ahead and sign up. I'm the person who will take your file and originate your loan. So do that, and we will be there soon.
Wonderful. I didn't know that, Claudette. That is awesome. All right, New Mexico, we coming. We are coming. Now, someone else out there on Facebook, I'm going to try to get through your questions here. I am currently going through the process now. Would I be able to change to a multifamily unit? Even though I'm in the middle of the process, can I now switch to multifamily?
Sure, always.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
That was a unanimous yes.
Yes.
And that's from 30 plus years of experience on this call. Ooh. So that's a unanimous yes.
Well, when you say process, provided you're not over in the credit access process with a contract in place. If you're in the qualification process, you definitely can change.
Right.
Thank you.
Fair enough. And Larry is coming to us. Larry is asking, he's saying, I got a new job making more than the allowed amount for the priority member. I'm $200 away from the amount that I was told that I have to save. Does this pay raise stop me from being a priority member? The $200 is the last thing that my counselor said he needs to see on my bank statement. Ooh, Larry. Let's
So
talk
who wants to
about it.
answer that one?
Well, that's two
Well,
different
look,
things.
I can tell you that, you know,
Ooh,
getting more
Larry.
money can be a double-edged sword, right?
No.
You know, so yeah, making more money, you know, a priority member is any member who is at 100% of the median income or below. So if you were at 100% of the median income and you know, or below, and you were a priority member, but then you happen to get a raise, and that raise is going to allow you to buy more house or save more, that may take you, you know, out of that priority status. And that's just something that comes with the territory.
Oh wow! Oh my God! What should he do? What
But
is there
there
any?
are options. There
But
are
buy a
options.
house in a priority
In
area.
a priority area.
There you go.
Yeah,
Larry?
the status is based on where you're purchasing.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay.
Status is based on where you're purchasing. So it sounds like this person is just at qualification. So there's no house right now. So that status could actually change depending on where they want to purchase.
Okay, Larry, I hope that helps, but this is good information now. So look in an area, in a priority area. So that may be some help for you, honey.
Well, also you don't know that you're not going to like the house, so don't already have a block that non-priority is about a problem, because there are many non-priority members that find great houses in priority areas,
Come on, real estate agent. Come on.
and they get to fix them up with the rehab portion. So don't look at that as a negative. Get out there and see before. Don't issue yourself a declination and you haven't been given one.
That's
And
right.
also there is a lot of new construction in those areas.
And grant money in some areas.
True.
That's
I'm
it.
glad you said that, because I, you know, again, you know, a lot of people think that when we say they're not a priority area, we want them to go live in the ghetto, or we want them to go live in
No.
a place where it is. And most of your cities are priority areas. Like I'm in Newark, and downtown Newark is a priority area. Most people don't know this. You know, you go to other parts of New York City, there are priority areas everywhere. Just, you know,
Wow.
again, work with, you know, your NACA in-house agent, you know, work with those folks that know the program. They're
Yes.
going to walk you through that part. And as Damien emphasized, don't have a mental block, you know, be open.
Last question, and then guys, you know, we got
I
about
told you.
we got 4 questions coming in through my e-voice, but I'm gonna get this last one on to our Facebook viewers. Can people get denied from NACA? Real talk.
They may, if they, especially due to eligibility criteria.
Due to eligibility.
For example, you own a home, currently you're a homeowner, you don't want to sell that home before you close on your NACA loan. You're not eligible for the program.
Oh.
Or you provide fake documentation to NACA. So engineers say
Right.
be real. So that happens once every 1,000 members, but that may
Right.
happen. That's a reason also to be
Right.
denied for the program. Basically, if you're not willing to meet the program criteria, well, you're not eligible for the program. I think that's the answer for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This has been helpful, but the old clock on the wall say it's time for us to go. And I know it's just, Damien, where does the time go, man?
Listen, it happens every time. So we're gonna have to have our regional managers.
We're gonna
based
have
on
to
their
have them
schedule, because they're busy. They're busy making sure things are keeping in line. But we definitely want to have you guys back to finish answering and answer further questions that our members have, because they still have a lot. And we're gonna get more questions even after you all get off today. Trust me.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I already know the phones are going to continue to ring at 833-771-0500. But guys, if you missed part of it and want to see it, you can always find it on our website, which is www.naca.com. But you can always find us, like us, do whatever you want to do with us on the official Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram page for NACA. You can also find this show on YouTube, throwing up the hearts. The old clock on the wall say it's time for us to go, but I do hope you enjoyed this NACA Live show. These beautiful people, Washington Riles, Diego, Luque, Benjamin Kojo, and the lovely Claudette Stewart. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys. You guys go out, be safe, mask up, and have a beautiful, beautiful work week. I'll see you on the other side, guys.